Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Ian and Carson podcast with today's special guest, Cole. We thank you for joining us and hope you enjoy the episode today, in which we dive into Santa Claus.
Let's talk about communist Santa. What the fuck is up with that?
Do we think Santa is a communist?
I think so. I don't think it's a conspiracy.
Well, let's define a communist here. What are we talking about?
A fascist dictator that has control of all means of production in the government, which is kind of the definition of a fascist, but I think he's actually a communist.
I mean, I think communism can be a little more broad. It doesn't have to be like a dictatorial kind of government. It can just be everyone gets even split type of thing.
It can be like Vietnam after, like during the Cold War. Like, it was still communist, but it evolved.
Yeah. So I guess the thing with Santa is he's got all his elves, and they're all working for him. And he delivers everyone presents across the globe, as long as you've been good and you're Christian.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's kind of communism, because, it's not based on your merit. It's just based on whether or not you're on the good,
it
the
is
nice
based
list.
on your merit, because it does take more good deeds than bad deeds to end up on the nice list.
Right, but
it's a reward.
No matter how many nice deeds you've done, though, you're on the nice list or the naughty list. So every nice kid gets an equal shot at presents, I feel,
And you know what I can appreciate? This is a little unrelated, but I like that we're probably all on the same page as far as Santa actually being real. There's no way he's not. There are people out there that deny Santa's existence, and
a lot of people actually.
Yeah, so it's almost as many people as Holocaust deniers. That shit is fucked up.
Yeah, I know. It seriously is.
Santa deniers are just as fucked as the Holocaust believers. It's
The Holocaust believers or the Holocaust deniers?
No, that's what I meant. The deniers.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of people who they see the facts, but they don't think the Holocaust is real.
Yes.
But then those same types of people go and they get presents for Christmas. How many of them also don't think Santa is real?
Where did the presents come from?
I know.
I've never been able to figure that out.
Literally, never.
I think I have a pretty good theory on what Santa actually is, if you'd like to hear it out.
Well, we think he's a communist. Well, we'll get back to that later.
I also think he's a mushroom.
How is he a mushroom?
Well,
Go ahead and explain that.
You see the history behind this, right? You have these red and white spotted mushrooms. I don't know the name of them, but they grew...
Mega mushrooms?
Mario mushrooms?
Yeah, they look like those, but the actual real-world mushroom.
Located in Siberia.
Like in Siberia and Denmark and Norway, that type of area.
And World 1-1 type of thing? Yeah.
Yeah,
no. I think...
Like Mario
Well, wouldn't the snow world be World 3?
Oh, yeah. It might be World 2.
It grew in really cold climates, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's more like the penguin.
This mushroom would be eaten by the reindeer,
mm-hmm.
the reindeer in the area, and they trip balls, as you'd expect mushrooms to do.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
So, the shaman... Sorry.
Spiritual leader, shaman?
Yeah, the healers, the pagan doctors, those types of people.
Oh, pagan witch doctors?
Yeah, the Norse doctor people, from Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Okay.
Yeah. But those people, they saw the reindeer eating the mushrooms, and they took that as a sign as these things are gifts from the gods to eat. So they would take these and give them to people, and they'd trip too. So, you've got this mushroom that has a pretty high cultural significance in this pagan, northern, snowy area. And when it gets really cold around the winter solstice, you can't even use the doors. So the shamans would deliver these mushrooms by going down people's chimneys.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
So
that's a completely different story than the Europeanized whatever, Christian thing that evolved from the 1400s.
Yeah.
That's completely different.
But there's a lot of theories on Christianity and other things coming from psychedelic experiences in early civilization.
So do we think those people looked at the reindeer and saw them just on another planet and were like, man, I want to trip like that reindeer is tripping?
Yeah.
And that's why they ate the mushrooms?
Yeah. More or less, yeah.
I mean, back in that day, you just ate whatever you found.
Yeah.
And they figured out what stuff did. But I guess circling back to communism, what's not communist about him?
Nothing, because Well, let me ask you some simple questions. Who the fuck pays the elves?
Santa does.
But what does he pay them?
What did they buy? What did they buy with that money? There's nothing to buy in the North Pole.
Yeah, it's fucking middle of nowhere. It's middle of nowhere.
They're seasonal workers. He brings them in during the holiday season.
Well, that's a good point. The elves do collect underwear the other 9 tenths of the year. You know?
Yeah.
Elves are not seasonal workers. They work year round.
No, dude.
There
Elves
have
have
differing sources on the elf's work schedule.
From any classic Christmas movie would tell you that as soon as Christmas ends, the elves are back to work.
Wait,
that
do you
means-
trust a Christmas movie or do you trust South Park?
Well, what does South Park say?
According to South Park, during the other 3 seasons of the year when they're not building Christmas presents for Santa, the elves collect underpants, and they have a 3-step process in order to make money with their business. Step 1 is they collect underpants, Step 2, and Step 3 is profit. So what do you think that means?
Makes sense.
This might be a bit crazy of a conspiracy, but I think that like the production team behind South Park is actually with Santa.
Really?
I think, well, like, you know, you never think about it too, like propaganda, the influence of the media. Like, what if the people that made South Park are actually part of Santa's followers? Like,
They could be Santa themselves, just in a disguise. You know?
yes,
Honestly.
with like one of the Lego, minifigure mustaches on them.
I mean, what would be the
know.
least expected thing for Santa Claus to do? Make an extremely offensive and genius TV show, you know?
It's just so out of pocket, it makes perfect sense.
So what does that have to do with Santa being a communist? Does that mean if he's a communist, we haven't really related this to a specific country, so could he be working for a certain kind of government?
Well, he gives presents to all children of the world that have been good.
Right, but
He doesn't align with one nation.
I think Santa is one of many central forces that exist in the world. Like, Santa is shrouded in mystery. There's not much we know about this guy other than what our parents tell us about him, which is complete and utter dog shit.
that's true. I mean,
Like,
eventually,
our parents
Our
eventually
parents try to tell us that Santa isn't real after a certain point.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
They just
and they
give up
flipped
telling
it.
us.
They flipped the script.
They're
Is
like,
because
we
they're
can give
agents.
presents. They're taking credit for something they don't do every year.
They're agents for fucking Santa. Like, think about it.
do you
Like,
think that entire generation's
flipped the
been
script?
brainwashed? That entire generation, they pretty much all believe Santa's not real when it comes down to the
that's
wire.
pathetic.
How have they been brainwashed by a communist government? That's the real question.
It's because it's a 2-step process. Like, that's how propaganda influence works, in my
I
opinion.
think it's the GMOs in our food.
It's a combination of the GMOs mixed with what you see on TV, mixed with what our parents are telling us. It's no wonder we're all fucking brainwashed about the truth about Santa.
But then the question is, since we know Santa is real,
Yeah.
is Santa putting those things out there for a certain reason? Could Santa be putting the GMOs in our food? Be putting out the violent video games and TV shows and stuff? Do you think that Santa is trying to cover himself up by making people believe he's not real when really he's real this whole time? And why is our generation so much more believing in him?
Well, we have to ask what he would gain from people not believing in him, because it's been kind of proven in Santa lore that the belief of him is what gives him his magical powers.
But if Santa's just a mushroom, is that really what matters? Or is it something that, these people are tripping and that's just what they think?
I think it's the whole cultural idea around the mushroom, not just the mushroom itself.
But if you don't believe in the mushroom's power to make you trip balls, will you still trip balls if you eat it?
Yes.
If you eat the mushroom, yes, you will.
100%.
It's the whole point of eating the mushroom.
If you eat, it's physiological. Like, it changes the
brain
way you
chemistry.
perceive reality on a physiological level. Like, you consume a psychedelic Santa mushroom, and then you start seeing elves.
Right. But are the elves there when you're not tripping? What do they do the rest of the year?
No, you're just dripping.
So is that why he's a communist?
Well, communism is, pretty cool.
I know.
But,
Go on.
I don't. I don't think communism is cool.
You don't
I'm
think
gonna
so?
say it. No, it's not cool.
I don't really...
I mean, everybody likes it nowadays. I think it's pretty cool.
To
Like,
be honest,
It's
I'm
hyped up
pretty...
social fad.
I'm pretty in the middle about communism. I think Santa's way of doing communism, if we agree here that he is a total communist, is pretty reasonable.
Guys, communism gets a bad rep because it's never worked because the people in charge were bad people. It's not because the system sucked, it was because the people implemented it wrong.
Right, but is a bad system like that prone to always being run by bad
It's
people?
not a bad system, it's bad people.
Even if it's a good system, though, I feel like a system like that brings up, it's a system of oppression, just like we have in the United States.
Yeah, even our system is supposed to be the better system of how to run things, but it's still filled with shitty people.
What's more important, a system or the people inside of it? Shouldn't we be telling people to break away from a preconceived set of rules and ideals set up for us by society and we decide our own path in life?
But that's
Isn't
capitalism.
The real path to freedom is saying fuck everybody and figuring out your own way in life.
But you're describing why capitalism is so great and why communism is so bad. Because communism puts you in a box and tells you what you have to do and what you get. But capitalism lets you be free and express yourself.
Not always.
Well, go on about that.
I think there is such a thing in a capitalist society as systematic oppression.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we experience it here in the U.S. with the Santa thing.
And it's outside of economic terms. Perhaps a communist system is more fair in a social or equitable way as far as human morals or human ethics, but economically it's not as sound as a capitalist system. But however, a capitalist system is just as prone to greed and misfortune as a communist system is.
Well,
it's all dependent upon the ideas of individualist people working together to make a better society. At the end of the day, if everybody in the entire world was the kind of person that would open the door for somebody else without thinking a second thought, a communist or capitalist system would work just as well without human corruption.
Yes.
Human corruption is the problem, not the system.
So then how do you think humans become corrupted? And does it have something to do with Santa?
Humans become corrupted because of scarcity.
But is it the scarcity of presents? Is it the scarcity of elves? Is it because there's just one Santa?
Scarcity?
And if Santa's a mushroom, could there be multiple Santas?
It's the scarcity of Christmas spirit. Without Christmas spirit, we're all prone to corruption. But the Christmas spirit has been warped and twisted by evil Santa from South Park.
Oh, shit.
No. I think that's what it is. And it might be a hot take. I would love to hear what you guys think about it. But I think that our Christmas spirit has been misguided. And I think we need to take 3 steps forward with this and make a better world out of it.
I mean, when you think about it, when all these people tell you Santa isn't real, you don't. Part of you doesn't want to believe in Santa because everyone around you doesn't believe. That alone would take away at least 60% of your Christmas spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's systematic oppression. Why do we lose our Christmas spirit as we get older? It's because society normalizes things that are harmful to our mental health, harmful to us, harmful to who we are as people. Mm-hmm. We're taught to grow up and be adults when we should just be kids.
But the thing is believing in Santa Claus the childish thing to do, or is it just the logical thing to do? Because if you look at the facts, Santa Claus is real.
It's logical.
Of course.
It's logical, 100%.
We all agree on that.
Yeah. So the thing is, if we're all told to grow up and we don't get to be kids anymore, why do all the older people in the world say that Santa's not real? What is it?
That's the big question here.
Because clearly that's the childish answer. If they looked into it, they would see. If they did the research, they would know that Santa is real. So that seems like the childish thing of them to be doing,
Is it them, or is it other systematic tendencies to qualm the belief in Santa?
A layer of brainwashing is what you're saying.
Yes, that generation has been... They're predisposed to not believe in Santa and to pass that message to stop us from doing it.
And is that a thing that comes with a capitalist government like we have here in the U.S.? Do people in communist countries in that generation believe in Santa too? Because I don't think they do. So it must be some other part of the oppression that happens in all countries.
The loss of the knowledge of Santa. In the Bible about the knowledge of good, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil?
Nope.
Well, in the book of Genesis, it's there's a lot of overlap between religious texts of different cultures. Like this is just a story from the Bible. So
written by Santa.
Yeah, written by Santa.
Yeah.
The knowledge of good and evil is Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Santa is wisdom itself.
Right. That's what we're taught in school in our generation.
I don't think it is. I think Santa is personified. I think Santa is more than a personification. I think Santa is wisdom itself.
Really?
The virtue. Santa, what does it mean to be on the nice list? To be virtuous. To be wise. To be someone beyond your years. And the real meaning of Christmas is that.
So when I was going up through grade school in good old Georgia, I was always told that Santa represents both this physical person, this deity, who goes around and is a mushroom and gets all children of the world super high.
Yeah.
But he's also a representation of that kind of feeling that you're talking about, good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And he can be both at once. That's sort of the thing that the Bible talks about.
Rather ambiguous.
And
right?
lots of religions, not just the Christian Bible.
Right, of course.
So then, with the facts that we have today in our generation, how can we pinpoint exactly what Santa's physical form is like and what this emotional state of being Santa is?
I think I know what Santa's physical form is.
Do you?
It's Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito, really?
Yeah.
I have to say, that is more likely than how we portray Santa today. I think he's been grossly misrepresented, just like white, blue-eyed Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there are parallel situations where the actual image of him has been lost to time and political and religious corruption.
Mm-hmm.
What if Santa is just a relatable person? What if Santa is someone on the same level as you and I? Not someone who's trying to be all high and mighty and say, ho, 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 fuck you guys to everybody. Like, what if Santa is just this guy that just walks around the street like you and I and doesn't want to be noticed?
Just like Danny DeVito.
And he gives presents out to kids every year, but he doesn't say anything about it. What if Santa is just this gross personification that society has portrayed you to believe, instead of you believing in Santa for what he really is? Wise. He doesn't want to be known. Santa is virtue itself.
Well, that begs the question then, that we have to move a step further and think about it from Santa's perspective. Communist or capitalist, or this religion, that religion, portrayed this way or that way. Why is it that Santa does what he does? Why is Santa, as a human form, the type of person who will go around and get all these kids high? What is his motivation in getting children across the world high? Only dependent on whether they're on the nice or naughty list. Their country of origin does not matter. Their religious beliefs don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Their physical appearance doesn't matter. All that matters is that he wants to get them high. Why is it that he's motivated to do something like that?
For its own sake.
Just for its own sake?
Goodness,
I think there might be more there.
Goodness rewards you for its own sake.
Do you think there is a selfish reason for him to do this?
It's possible. I mean, if we think about it, with all the corruption in politics, both in all our culture and communist cultures, it all stems from the top, right? And Santa's the top. Santa's the one who goes around and gives all the presents. There could be selfish motivation behind why he's getting all these people high.
I honestly believe Santa's intentions are pure, and I believe that his personification has been portrayed by the media in a negative way. I think Santa is a genuinely good person wrapped behind controversy.
Thing is, while his physical appearance has been portrayed by the media in a negative way, in some sense, he's this fat, obese, white, bearded man, not the best look. But I think his heart, his actual personality, has been portrayed in a pretty positive light generally. So if the media misled you in that sense too, could he actually be a total dick? We don't know.
Santa is not the personification at all. I don't believe anything that they're saying. What I believe Santa to be is literally virtue itself. Like, Santa is a non-fiction character. But to me, I think even the idea of Santa is more important than the physical presence of some dude. Like, I don't think we should idolize anybody. Why should I worship Santa? Why should I worship, Obama? Why should I worship, anybody? Like,
that's just the thing. While we don't want to worship one person...
All hail Obama, though.
All hail Obama, of course.
Yeah,
But we don't want to just worship one person. We learn that Santa is both this virtuistic ideal, but he also does have a physical form. He does have a personal persona.
He flies around the world once a year.
Right. So we have to at least acknowledge this physical state of his being, too.
I can't deny that.
And I think we have to take a step back here.
Okay.
Santa supersedes all national airspace and sovereign airspace of every state.
Right.
And he doesn't align himself with one particular religion.
Right.
Does that mean Santa may affiliate himself with a world-running organization like the Illuminati?
And does that confirm the existence of such an organization?
I
don't think he would need to.
I believe that the existence of that organization is already widely believed and known.
So if Santa's working for an organization like the Illuminati, could that be his motivation for trying to get all the kids in the world high? If it's for a selfish reason, he could be working for someone else. He might not even be at the top of the ladder.
That's what I'm trying to say here. What if he's just the guy that gives the presents away and there's someone telling him who's nice and who's naughty?
Right. He might not even be calling the shots here. He might just be saying, give all these kids mushrooms, get them high as fuck.
Yeah, get them indoctrinated into the world order of beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
the Christmas spirit of it all.
You know how in the universe there's a yin and a yang, like a central good and a central evil, sun and moon.
Right.
Like, it's always been that way ever since the universe started. And
ones and zeros.
It's a great moralistic truth that just exists across all sorts of religions, like in a general sense. Like, let me say this. If Santa is a part of the Illuminati, who's the central good force in the world, if not but Santa? I think Santa...
Well, you just said it a little bit ago. It could be Obama.
Well, Santa could also be in a Daedalus situation. What if he's trapped there against his will, performing his miracles still, but for a worse reason by other powers?
A prisoner to the system rather than a perpetrator of it.
Yes, but while Daedalus wasn't, like in Greek mythology, right? He was imprisoned in the labyrinth, and he was forced to make all these contraptions and things to satiate, the king, whoever captured him. It's like maybe Santa's in that situation, like something's being held over his head.
It's like Albert Einstein in the U.S. government.
Yeah, and all the other Nazi scientists that came to NASA in the 50s.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, if he's being held with a gun to his head, being told he has to do these things.
Maybe it's not a gun to his head, but rather something he holds even higher than himself. That's being held. Yeah, blackmail.
He's being blackmailed.
Yeah, he's being blackmailed into doing what
by the world government.
Yes.
If he's in that sort of situation, then we have to imagine what sort of thing could Santa have done? What terrible atrocity could he be being blackmailed with?
Communism.
Is it communism? Because he holds everyone equally and he gives everyone presents, so that's a good thing. That's one of the great things about Santa.
I think the way
that's why he represents just goodness and evil, because nothing else matters. It's just the kind of quality of person you are.
Okay, hear me out. I still believe Santa is altruistic. I believe also that the way that he implements communism is genius. I think the way that he, forces the elves to do the work without any incentive is altruistic. I think that it works for the kind of society that he has going on. And, he has maybe 1 million elves as opposed to 300 million people.
Right.
It's more sustainable. Santa's doing it right. The elves aren't complaining. You don't see elf riots. You don't see elf riots in Christmas movies. The elves love Santa. They love him. And you know what? I think that it's okay to go seal clubbing. I don't think that's related, but, I'm just going to throw that out.
Well, I think we can all agree on that.
Seal clubbing?
Yeah, seal clubbing.
Like clubbing seals?
Yes.
Yeah. I agree.
The thing is, going back to your other much more relevant point, much more, debatable point, is we have all these Christmas movies that you keep bringing up as parts of your defense. But that's part of this mass conglomerate of media that could be portraying the elves as happy when really they're suffering up there. And they could be being held at gunpoint just the same as Santa could be. They could all be being blackmailed, all million of them, by the Illuminati, just as easily as Santa. We don't know if Santa wants to be doing this altruistic thing just because he's genuinely good, or if he's being blackmailed into doing it. Because the thing is, how altruistic really is it to get all these kids high? If you go around the entire world and get every young child absolutely high off their fucking mind.
But if it's not his intention, then he doesn't deserve to suffer for it.
But that's the thing. Why is he suffering? What is
Because
the Illuminati holding
he's
over
being
his
held
head?
against the blackmail.
But what did he do?
I've heard a story.
Yeah.
I think that according to witness testimonies, Santa, as a child, did wear blackface.
This is confirmed.
There's numerous accounts and reports that support this information, according from what I hear. Like if you actually go into the archives of the Food and Drug Administration, you can actually find in the year 1902 a report that describes how Santa put on blackface at children's Christmas parties.
You know, I wasn't going to bring up that point of the argument, but I actually really should mention another piece of evidence. If you go back and watch the classic Christmas movie Elf, you can see in multiple scenes in which Santa's depicted, and in one of the scenes, he's totally wearing blackface. On the screen in the movie. If you go watch Elf right now, Home Alone 2 in fact.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen Santa, it's only for a frame, but
Yeah.
if you pause it,
It's there.
it's there. They forgot to edit it out. They
Mhm.
forgot to edit out that single frame of Santa wearing blackface. And you know what it costs Santa? Blackmail from the U.S. government, from the world government.
Blackface? Blackmail. But is it the U.S. government, or is it some other power that controls
It's all
of the government?
It's all of the world government.
Is the Illuminati real?
The world government needs to be mutually aligned against a threat like Santa, someone who holds diplomatic control.
Someone who's a racist piece of shit.
Yes. Someone who can implement communism right. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was a pretty good discussion.
So what are your thoughts on
On what?
the aerodynamic capacity of pepperoni?
Oh, fantastic. Pepperonis are solid as fuck. They're very dense, which makes them very throwable. And they're also flat and circular and have a lot of lift that can be attributed to them aerodynamically. So when you throw them like a frisbee, you can literally chuck it from one side of a store to another.
So you know frisbee golf.
Yeah.
Why? And that's a pretty competitive sport.
People take that silly thing pretty seriously.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
Why is there no pepperoni golf?
I want there to be that.
I think it comes from the fact that while pepperoni may be a cured meat and does not need the same type of care as other food, it is not edible after being used as a frisbee.
Not edible for humans because it's dirty, right? What if you fed it to a homeless cat? What if you fed it to a stray animal?
That's a great point.
You know, frisbee golf never feeds anyone.
The thing, why aren't
Pepperoni
frisbees
golf?
made of food?
Pepperoni golf feeds stray animals.
We have so many frisbee-shaped foods.
But do they function as frisbees? That's the question.
Are they as portable and sustainable as pepperonis?
Well, think about a pizza.
Right. Pizza's harder to make.
It is, but it may be more structurally sound in certain cases.
Is it as aerodynamic? Does it fly as far?
No.
Is it as easy to
It's
throw?
too heavy. It's too heavy to throw.
Well, if you think about, let's just take a pizza dough here, right?
Uh-huh.
Just a regular dough.
Right.
Like medium-sized dough?
Sure,
Sure.
like a 10-inch, 12-inch.
Gotcha.
No
Okay.
toppings, no cheese, no sauce. It just gets baked.
Alright, gotcha.
You then turn it upside down. You basically just have a frisbee at that point.
It's just a pretty large frisbee.
Yeah,
though.
and it wouldn't be too heavy to throw.
Like
But then
pizza
how is
with-
that better than pepperoni?
Pizza
It's not
with no
edible
s-
either after being used as a frisbee.
Is this a
It's
pizza
the-
with
it's
no
the same
sauce?
answer as Carson's from earlier. It's feed it to something that wouldn't care if it's dirty.
But I think pizza should be reserved for homeless people.
But this isn't a full pizza. This is just the dough.
Oh, then, but why would we use something as expensive as pizza dough, which is
I
a
think-
multi-ingredient process, as
But I
opposed
still
to using
think
pepperoni?
by the gram, pizza dough is much cheaper than pepperoni. Pizza dough consists of 3 or 4 staple ingredients that are all very cheap on their own.
The thing, you guys are missing a certain fact, and that fact is that in traditional competitive frisbee golf, the goal, or the hole that you try to get the frisbee into, is just this little metal cage, right?
Yeah. With
If
cheese.
that was just a simple refrigerator, this wouldn't be a problem. You would have an incentive to get the frisbee into the goal so that you could eat it afterwards. The only problem with using pepperoni as frisbees is that you can't eat them. They're no longer edible to humans because they're dirty on the ground.
But you can wash them off and use the 5-second rule and stick them in your ass.
But if you throw a pepperoni, you're really far away. You're not going to get there in 5 seconds.
Right, but that's just my point. You're incentivized to get it into the goal if it's a refrigerator. Then you can just enjoy it.
But doesn't the game itself already provide enough incentive to get the frisbee in the hole?
Not necessarily, because that frisbee's not edible. Imagine if the frisbees became pepperonis now.
Wait,
Things would change everything.
What about
Frisbees aren't edible?
What about the sustainability of the sport?
What about the sustainability of the food? Without preservatives.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Without
here.
GMOs.
If you have someone that
Pepperonis have preservatives in them.
they're just naturally preserved.
Right. They have spices inside of them, like that keep them preserved, which can be used over and over. The dough will go bad, and if you're reusing in a theoretical scenario, you want to use something that has less of an expiration date, so you can use it 3 or 4 times before it goes bad. Pepperonis, just across the board, are more sustainable than pizza dough. Not to mention that the process to make the pizza dough is more laborious.
The thing is, pizza dough is made fully plant-based, and pepperonis are not as sustainable as pizza dough because they're made of meat, which is much, much worse for the climate and for the environment, and it's a major contributing factor to global warming. So, that begs the question, which is it that's actually worse?
But they last longer.
On that point, I have to say that monocropping destroys the environment much quicker than factory farming.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
And much quicker than any sort
point.
of thing like burning natural gas for cars or even airplanes.
Well, those contribute more to the air quality and the CO2 levels in the air. Monocropping just destroys environments.
Right.
Leaves them without nutrients and just barren. That's what's killing our world more quickly than climate change per se. It's the sapping of our nutrients naturally coming from the soil and the earth.
I mean, I think it's all part of the same problem. That's just as much contributing to climate change as anything. I mean, the pollutants that are put out by cows shitting everywhere is at least 400 times as much as the pollutants put out by human shitting.
Cows literally shit out almost pure methane gas.
They do.
And that methane gas, when it's mass produced, when cows are genetically modified to produce at a unnatural rate, the amount of methane burning a hole in the ozone layer of the Earth is absurd. The methane is literally single-handedly burning the ozone layer. And what are we going to do about it? Stop eating our bacon, stop eating our meat, stop eating, whatever. And, that's a good point. Maybe my mind has been changed. Maybe dough is more sustainable.
The thing is, how do we get pepperoni?
Pepperoni is actually a pretty complicated process of...
It's made of a lot of different kind of meats.
What I know of pepperoni is that, cows gather in fields and they shit methane that destroys the environment. There are other forms of natural gas pollutants that are contributing to global warming, like airplanes and cars. And airplanes shit pepperoni. So I'm thinking, airplanes, while they're a pretty safe mode of transportation, how much are they contributing to global warming versus the cow's methane? If they're shitting pepperoni, that's meat too, but we're not using it as food, we're just using it as frisbees. That sort of, perpetuates this problem.
That's a great point. I also don't think it helps that cars run on pepperoni. I don't think it's sustainable for the environment for cars to burn pepperoni as fuel.
Right.
The gas coming from the burning of the pepperoni is almost just as pungent methane-wise as a cow shitting itself.
So then we have to ask this question. Are the aerodynamic advantages of pepperoni able to outweigh the cons that it causes in respect to a regular set of frisbees for frisbee golf?
I think the aerodynamics of pepperonis make it dangerous, especially to the ozone layer.
But is it worth it for
if the Illuminati were to take pepperonis and throw them at the ozone layer, they would be able to pierce through it.
I mean, they're so aerodynamically perfect that that pepperoni just soars, almost breaks the sound barrier.
20,000 miles above the Earth's surface.
It goes into orbit.
Yep.
And if we throw enough pepperonis, if the Illuminati gets Santa Claus, says, Santa Claus, you're not going to be handing out mushrooms to get children high anymore. Your new task is to just throw pepperonis into the air all day, every day. Even if he has like a super shitty arm, he could be a great baseball player, he could be an absolute grandpa, it doesn't matter. Those pepperonis are so aerodynamic that they'll start to orbit the Earth, and eventually, when he throws them around enough, they'll encompass our whole atmosphere and create a new layer of the atmosphere, the pepperoni sphere.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a danger to our society. And we don't know if the Illuminati is going to go there.
The pepperoni sphere could literally cause damage to the environment. Like, imagine the pepperoni sphere being the only, like, layer in between the Earth and the sun's, like, radiation.
Between the Earth and the methane coming from cows shitting themselves.
What if the high-altitude pizza layer becomes so hot that all the pepperonis start melting and turning into meteorites? The pepperoni impact, even if the pieces are tiny, can cause incredible amounts of damage.
They're falling from orbit.
Literally falling from orbit. Pizza falling, pepperonis falling from orbit are still dangerous, especially with their aerodynamics. They could cut through a city.
You do have to consider the fact that they're only dangerous because they're going to catch fire because they're so hot, rubbing against the chemicals in the atmosphere. But they're not going to fall down to the Earth too fast because they do have a terminal velocity. And if the pepperonis are angled in a certain way, according to their perfect aerodynamics, they probably will be, their air resistance against them as they're falling towards the Earth will stop it from accelerating too fast to the point where it will slice people in half. I mean, you know the type of, the common misconception about you drop a penny off the Empire State Building, it could kill someone. It's completely false, because pennies have air resistance, and they're so light, they're so small, that at a certain terminal velocity, they're going to stop accelerating. And it'll just fall and bounce off someone's head. Pepperonis could be the same way. But the thing that makes them dangerous is, they start burning in the atmosphere, the methane starts leaking, they control your mind. That's exactly right.
The methane is the mind control substance.
Right.
Methane, mind control. Why did I not see that?
Could the Illuminati be using methane gas from pepperoni to control Santa's mind? I mean, he could
it's only a matter of time.
Being forced to do it against his will, but, still consciously. But what if Santa doesn't even know what he's doing? What if he's completely zonked, high on these fucking mushrooms, and he's just jumping down people's chimneys, high on methane gas, and getting these kids high with pepperoni?
And you know what the scary part about that is, Ian? Is that it's logical. Why would the Illuminati want to waste their time blackmailing Santa when they could just control him from the inside out?
They don't to do their bidding.
They don't need to blackmail him anymore. They already have him in their control. So they just order Santa and his elves to throw pepperonis at the Earth's orbit until we're all fucked.
Right. When does that come from the lower generations and start getting to us? The global warming, the climate change, the pepperoni methane gas leaking, it's going to start controlling our minds too. We could all be throwing pepperonis into the sun in a couple of years.
Yeah, what if we're all sniffing the mind control methane right now and we're all just on a rabbit trail?
Well, what can we do to stop it?
We have to understand the limitations of our preconceived thoughts and schemas that we have about the subject.
I just think we have to boycott pepperoni, honestly.
That is true. I think no pepperoni signs would probably...
I think just getting that out will solve us a lot of issues.
I mean, if you think about it, we boycott pepperoni. People stop buying pepperoni, so the pepperonis go out of business. Santa Claus, whether he's being mind controlled or not, he doesn't have a way to get pepperoni anymore to throw into the atmosphere.
Pepperoni production will collapse, and so him and his elves will have no choice.
Right.
Like, the collateral pepperonis that are created by other corporations other than Santa and elves. Santa and the elves won't have the firepower to be able to throw enough pepperonis into the sun. But
what's next? What happens when we boycott pepperoni and Santa Claus, who's being controlled by the Illuminati, doesn't have enough to throw into the sun anymore? What then? He's going to go find the next cured meat, and he's going to start doing the same exact thing. Whether it's aerodynamic enough or not, he's going to find a way to get it up there. I mean, he's got all these reindeer. They could just fly it up there.
The only fallacy in your argument, Ian, is that there's nothing as aerodynamic as pepperoni. Nothing.
Right.
There's nothing.
Not even the reindeer, no matter how magical they are, they can't fly up there like
nothing
pepperoni can.
Beats the top speed of a pepperoni thrown by an Olympic champion.
It can be thrown by anyone. I mean, did you see 50 Cent's first pitch of that one baseball game? It went like fucking sideways.
Yeah.
That That man could throw pepperoni, and it's in orbit immediately.
Right.
I mean, Elon Musk looks with SpaceX trying to get stuff in orbit and it explodes in the sky, but he's just completely overlooking the fact that he could use pepperoni.
Or that a pepperoni may have, fucked up the launch.
So what happens then? We boycott pepperoni, people stop buying it, and the company starts to fold. But then Elon Musk gets wind of the plan, and he realizes pepperoni could be used for SpaceX. So he buys the pepperoni companies when he sells Twitter. What then?
You're saying that he'll become a pepperoni monarch.
He could. Just as easy as the Illuminati, or Santa, or Obama.
Or what if Elon Musk is already with the Illuminati?
We don't know that. We have to ask these questions, though.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to go through.
What do we do? What options do we have?
Well, I think the only way to defeat the Illuminati is probably to do shrooms or something.
Well, is it the Santa shrooms?
Yes.
Or is it the anti-Santa shrooms?
It's the Santa shrooms. I think Santa's intentions are pure, but he's misguided. But I think that the government wants him for a reason. It's because they know that the Santa shrooms have the potential to transcend all things.
Even the aerodynamic capacity of pepperoni?
Even the aerodynamic capacity of pepperonis.
Why do you think so?
I think so because why else would they blackmail Santa? Why else would they mind control him? They know that he knows something.
But
Tapped into his subconscious, if Santa got it back, he would become the biggest threat to the world government that currently exists in the world. Santa would be the major threat to all of the world governments if he could have access to his super shrooms again.
Right. I guess that just goes back to communism.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, Santa's a dick.
Yeah, fuck Santa.
Fuck Santa.
Fuck the world government. Fuck Santa. Fuck
I
everything.
hate that guy.
Fuck cows.
Fuck everything but pepperoni.
That's.
Okay.
I have a-
thoughts?
I have a question.
What's your question?
If mustard was purple, do you think people would still eat it?
Definitely think it would lose fans.
I think people will be pretty turned off immediately. I mean, I'm sure there are some of the die-hard mustard people out there who need that shit for their pepperoni and what have you, but...
What if the mustard fans saw the devotion of mustard after it turning purple? Like, the mustard companies deciding to turn mustard purple and love it so much that the production of mustard actually multiplies because the mustard users are the ones that are creating artificial demand.
I mean, it's just like how
that's not
alcohol
sustainable.
companies get most of their profit from alcoholics. Is that what you're saying? These mustard addicts?
Alcohol companies don't make money from people who don't buy alcohol. They make money from advertising, and they make money from people who do buy alcohol. So the mustard companies only make money from the people who are going to buy the mustard.
But the thing is, there's like your average mustard person who, in my opinion, if mustard turned purple, they would not buy mustard anymore.
That's a good point, too.
But then there's these mustard, just absolute mustard
Fanatics. Fanatics.
They're addicts, really.
Yes.
They're cripplingly addicted, and if mustard turned purple, they would be the ones who keep buying it.
You know,
just like
addicts
how
is-
alcohol companies, they make their money from the alcoholics addicted to their drinks.
You know what I just realized? The word addict is in fanatic.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And what are mustard fanatics? They're addicts.
What else are mustard addicts?
Communists.
What else?
Racists.
What else?
Racists.
There you go.
Santa deniers.
Bingo.
Fuck Santa.
Fuck Santa.
Fuck that guy.
Fuck Santa.
Fuck Santa.
I don't
And
want
fuck
him.
the Illuminati.
I don't want him to give me
Fuck
fucking
Ron
presents.
DeSantis.
Oh, fuck Ron DeSantis.
Fuck Santa. Fuck that guy.
I hate that dude.
I hate Santa.
And Ron DeSantis. I hate him.
Fuck Danny DeVito.
Whoa, no.
I love Danny DeVito.
Yeah, me too. I'm sorry.
He's great.
He's the greatest.
I'm sorry, I should have said
Some would
that.
say the best.
I was just worked up about Santa.
We all do sometimes.
And that's okay. Fuck Santa.
Fuck Santa.
Fuck Santa.
Thank you for joining us today, and please come back next time. Bye-bye.